One of the problems they're dealing with in China, and I say now, but I've been out of China for 10 years, was that you have the whole generation that did almost no physical exercise. Everything was all academic. They run around the track once a week, and they're like, they can't do it. But there's absolutely no one cares, right? It's like intellectuals. These bodies then hit puberty and go into life. And when those bodies get pregnant, they have every kind of issue possible because those muscles, nothing ever played. Didn't climb jungle gyms, didn't do anything, didn't run, didn't have any expansion, contraction. So in a pregnancy, that baby grew in something that never had structure. So everything moves, the bones, the muscles, the organs, and the unbelievable difficulty of pregnancy in that generation who were going to have one baby and they had trouble doing it. And they're like, nah, nobody had 12 babies. That's not possible. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like your grandparents' generation, right? Your great grandparents' generation were having kids all the time. And it's just a question of that strength inside. Do you have shape, resiliency? And if they've never been used, so like the kid who's playing video games and is a little chubby and on the couch, male or female, as they get older, I mean, that's going to be guaranteed early prostate problem because there's just no muscle structure, so things are going to collapse. Nothing ever happened. The heart rate never got going, so it didn't rush blood through things. So there's no real innervation except for the most basic innervation of a light heart rate. Yeah, I mean, it's just kids got to play, and the reason why kids have got to play is so that later on they don't have health issues, not because they got to, that's true too, but really only in a place like China can you see how fast a generational change is because it's almost overnight. Like everyone's exercising, no one's going to school. Now everyone's going to school and no one's exercising. And then it's billion people. So when that happens, and then you get out to the countryside and they're just fine because those people are all having to work real hard. It's the urban generation that you really see. So you have a concentrated generation and they just keep coming in every day. And, day 4, you're like, okay, this is the 15th person. I got to pay attention. It's, but just from forget everything else, just that lack of blood and chi at strength through the organs, through dynamic hard work, exercise, play, whatever it is, just those organs never did anything. To use the word muscle in the Western languages, we've defined ourselves into those red things. And the Chinese don't have that. I mean, the liver is an organ, and that organ is muscle in terms, not like this muscle, but it's doing something. It has work to do. And I think that that's an important concept in the Chinese reality is that they're very clear that everything has a hard work. Everything has a job to do, right? And when we think in the Western thing, oh, your liver secretes. Well, you don't think of the liver being like, okay, I got to secrete and I got to make. I mean, you don't think of the liver in there or your gallbladder like expanding. And, we don't think of it as an object that is undergoing shift and change. Your lungs doing this. We just don't think about it. We just think of it's a thing that's doing something as if it just happens, right? And so the dynamic ability of each organ to do its job, I will use the word muscle in English because we think of muscles as that contraction, expansion, etc. It's not a muscle, but it has a vigorousness to it. And that if it loses its vigorousness due to apathy, if it loses its vigorousness due to exhaustion, if it loses its exuberance due to hardening, lack of yin, so things stiffen and creak, and the organ is kind of like, why would it want to do its job well? Why would it push things and make things and create things and spread things? Why would it do it at an optimum rate when it is not in an optimum state? So Dao Yin and so many of the practices are about getting your zangfu, your organs, into an optimum state. But you can do all of the 8 healing sounds for your organs and then never run around and make your heart and your lungs do anything dramatic. And that's not going to help. You need qi and blood. And you can do a lot for your qi and blood, but if you don't pay attention to your organs, the qi and the blood are moving, but the organs are changing shape because the blood and the thing are going through. I mean, how many people run every day and they're like, "Oh, I'm so healthy," and then it turns out they're not, because do not confuse cardiovascular health with health. And so that understanding of the organs do something, and therefore they have to have a certain level of turner of. And for the Chinese, since that's taken as a basic fact, you can throw out a word like muscle and no one's going to think that's weird and isolate them, because they recognize that muscle is connected to the whole system. So when Andrew says muscle, it's meaning movement of something, right? They're not like Ji Ro.